Yes, y'all! From Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership, the place that brings you your favorite summertime magazine. It's DCTF Live, the live video internet version of that magazine you love. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. I am sitting here, sitting there now, but technically not now, is Max Thompson.
I'm not here.
For those who have not tuned in of late, we are recording these early because Max is going to be out of the country. It's a legal thing we can't really get into, but needless to say, Max needs to go away for a little bit, and so we need to get him out of the country. I'm praying for you, man. Thoughts and prayers. # thoughts and prayers.
I'm praying for you, too.
It is Tuesday, April 5th, 2016, episode 108. 108, the number of homers for Jeff Burroughs in his illustrious Texas Rangers career, and that is a real, I say illustrious Texas Rangers career every time. That was an actual illustrious Texas Rangers career. He was great as a Ranger.
Okay.
He was.
Cool.
You're a jerk. I think he's in the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure he is. If he's not, he's
exciting. Must be a very, very difficult Hall of Fame to get into with all those great Rangers.
You don't need to be a jerk. I know you're fleeing the country, but you don't need to be a jerk. We are continuing our spring tour where we are running through the 12 FBS teams in the Lone Star State, giving a spring preview for each of them. We're actually going to be talking about a team who just played their spring game. The TCU Horned Frogs today. Put the little Horned Frog thing up.
Ooh, well, let's hope nothing spectacular happened in that, right?
I know. That's a little embarrassing. So we're going to be talking about the Horned Frogs, give a little bit of an overview of what we've seen this spring here in just a moment. Max, may I shout out one of my favorite things?
I'm not going to stop you.
I think one of the most underappreciated institutions in our society is the public library.
Yeah, I've heard this one before from you.
It is amazing. You get to go there, and because I'm a reader, I enjoy reading because I'm a nerd. I host an internet show. Of course, I like reading. That's a Venn diagram. That's just one circle. Is guys who like to read and guys who host internet shows. It's just one circle. But we went to the public library the other day, and I'm just consistently amazed at how few people actually take advantage of it. Free internet, free books, for borrowsies, not necessarily for keepsies.
Sure.
And even the public library in my town doesn't even charge late fees.
Mm-hmm.
If you need your book for an extra week, you can just have it for an extra week. I believe it's not until like a month later, like a month into it being overdue, do they start charging you like 5 cents a day. I'm just consistently amazed at how few people actually take advantage of the greatness that is the public library.
I hope you can get over that.
When's the last time you went to a public library?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Really?
I don't know.
You're not a public library guy? You're not a library guy?
But why would I go there when I can just buy the things?
Well, because you've already bought them with your tax money, and you can borrow them. And then you don't have to spend money. It's free.
I support libraries. I just have never had a reason to go one in a long time.
Because you're
like the last library I probably went to was my college library.
Because
right?
you're not a reader.
I read, but I just put them on my Kindle, and then I read them.
Well, you can get free ebooks from your library, too.
Whatever. Like Kindle versions of books aren't
usually
that expensive.
I can't. Well, first of all, this goes back to you being in trouble with the law, like the fact that you have so much money. How do you guys think you got it? But the other thing, I can't do the Kindle. I tried. I can't. I'm a physical book type guy. I've got to have it in my...
That's fine.
I
like fewer things.
I like more things.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I'm like the one in my relationship who's constantly like, let's clear some of this stuff out. Let's just give it away. Let's just send it off.
You're a declutterer.
We need fewer things.
You're a declutterer.
It needs to be fewer things on the wall, fewer things on the floor, fewer things on the counter. There needs to be very few things.
My wife read a book recently called, it was something like The Magic the magic of tidying up or something like that, I think you'd like that. It's about how to like clean your house and tidy up.
It's really simple. Get rid of stuff.
Yeah, but you got to figure out which stuff to get rid of.
No, just get rid of as much as possible. That's an easy thing to do.
It's deeper.
Unless
you're being
your better half is like, well, but I want to keep that.
Well, and see, that's the problem. That's where, because I'd love to throw stuff
like
away.
I love my wife, but she needs like 40 jackets, and we live in Texas.
Well, I'm saying what she needs to do. This is the lesson from that magic art of tidying up or whatever it is.
I know what she needs to do. Give them all away.
No.
She only needs like 2.
Make her grab the jacket and ask herself, does this bring me joy?
Yes, it does. That's the answer. Everything she has brings her joy. More things bring her joy.
Maybe she's just really happy.
I'm not fine with her. I'm fine with her being happy. I just want fewer things.
We're DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And we have a website. Max!
Gregory.
It's time to mosey on over to Fort Worth. Crazy town. Fort Worth. Cowtown. Talk a little bit about those TCU Horned Frogs in their spring football. The last time we saw them, they had that miraculous comeback in the Alamo Bowl, and it was the kind of thing. What's funny, I asked you before the show. I said, "Hey, I'm writing notes, and I go, what was TCU's record?"
Right,
and we were just like, I don't. They went 11-2.
Like they weren't that good, right?
They went 11-2.
11-2.
But I think that the end of the season really kind of sullied everything because they were obviously horrifyingly injured. When Josh Doxson went down, that really hurt them. But that loss, an ugly loss to Oklahoma State, right? There's
right.
Nobody's calling that a pretty loss.
That was a whooping.
Then they very nearly coughed it up against Kansas at home.
But they didn't.
Yes. Then they lose at Oklahoma, and then they win a very ugly game against Baylor.
Right.
And then they go and they have this crazy comeback against Oregon in the Alamo Bowl. Yeah. So 11-2, but that's the last time we saw them. I mean, this is a team that had a great year last year.
Right.
Unquestionably.
They were very good.
The spring game was last Friday. It was April 1st or 2nd or whatever it was.
Apologies if anything significant happened there, and we're not talking about it now.
We don't know. As far as big picture changes are concerned, there wasn't a ton. There were a lot of rumors that Doug Meacham or Sonny Cumbie were going to get plucked for a head coaching job. The staff is basically back in full. And the one thing they did do was they kind of pulled off a bit of a surprising recruiting class. I thought that it was better than they expected heading into National Signing Day. They had a pretty good recruiting class.
Yeah.
So the big picture for this TCU team is that you're going to take last year's team and you're just going to reverse it. Okay,
right.
Here's what I mean by it. So last year, think about where we were last year this time. We were thinking about TCU. We're like, man, that offense is going to be amazing. So much experience. They got just playmakers all over the field. They got a Heisman caliber quarterback. They got a Bolitnikov caliber wide receiver. All their offensive lines back. This is going to be great. The defense, well, they don't have a ton coming back.
And they're Patterson injured. Coach them up, right?
But Gary Patterson gets the benefit of the doubt. He gets the benefit of the doubt. That's so don't worry about the defense. The offense is going to be amazing. Defense, okay, that's you just chalk. You write down Patterson on the defensive depth chart and say, okay, that's fine. Now, in 2016, you take that and just completely take that flip and reverse it.
Right.
Okay? You're going to, with a defense that, largely due to the fact they had so many young players and so many injuries last year, is wildly experienced. They got like experience on like the 3 deep because guys had to come in and play.
Yeah. And
it's all very good experience. And the offense is like completely wiped out.
Right.
The offense is pretty much starting from ground zero. And so you are then saying, okay, do you trust Sonny Cumbie and Doug Meacham as offensive masterminds as much as you trust Gary Patterson as a defensive mastermind?
Right. Have they reached that level yet?
And I think that how you answer that question will tell you how you feel about TCU this year.
Right.
So, let's take a look at this offense. And when I say wiped out, I mean wiped out. Max, take a guess. Tell me how many starters TCU has back on offense.
I'm going to say 2.
3.
3?
You gave them...
Well, now I'm suddenly more bullish on their chances.
Okay, here we go.
Go
Frogs. They lost everyone. Okay, Trevon Boykin, gone.
Yep.
Josh Doxson, gone. Kobe Listenby, gone. Aaron Green, gone. 4 offensive linemen, Gone, including Joey Hunt, perpetually underrated at the center spot, and Big V Halapulivati Vaitai, the left tackle.
Yeah.
All gone. Wiped out. Kaboo. Okay? 3 starters back. Those 3 starters, now the guys are bringing back. They bring back their right tackle, Joseph Noteboom, who I thought was impressive last year.
Yeah.
He's the lone offensive lineman. And then they bring back like a one of the wide receivers, and then they bring back and one of the guys who isn't actually considered a starter, I don't think, is Cavante Turpin, who was such a playmaker for them in special teams and offensively, just a real speedster. But this offense is starting from scratch. They have got to figure out exactly what they're going to be. I mean, when you look at position battles, isn't it kind of everywhere?
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to start at the quarterback spot? They have the transfer in Kenny Hill, and the notion is going to be that Kenny Hill's the guy. Like Kenny Hill,
right.
He was brought in. He transferred to TCU because he knew that he could play. But do you go with a guy like Foster Sawyer, who got some playing time last year, played in 6 games last year? You've got options there. The quarterback position is going to be interesting. I think there's the notion that Kenny Hill's the guy who would be a little closer to a fit of what Trevon Boykin was. And he runs that kind of spread style offense that he's used to. But there's also the matter of the running back. Aaron Green was great for them. Who gets the bulk of the carries on the running back? And they got options. They got Trey Johnson. They got Kyle Hicks. They've got Sean Nixon from Lake Travis. They've got a lot of different options at the running back. The other question is, who's ready to step up and be on this offensive line? Now, I'm trying to think of who it was. It was Tech. When we were talking about Tech, we mentioned how Tech, it seemed like, had guys in place that they had the next line back there, right? They were waiting. It kind of seems that same way with TCU. They got Austin Schlottman, who should step in at center. They've got Patrick Morris, who should step in at guard. They're probably going to swing. I bet they're going to swing Joseph Noteboom over to left tackle and let Matt Pryor play right tackle. They've got guys back there who can step up and be the next guys, but it's just a matter of how you fill in those positions from wherever it goes. Wide receiver. I mean, really everywhere. There's no position here. The only people that you can say are probably starting are Joseph Noteboom and Cavante Turpin. Right. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Everything else is a blank slate. If you're looking for a sleeper, they're all over the place, but you and I are very high on Darius Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
The running back from George Ranch, and he fits the mold of these guys, of Trey Johnson, of Kyle Hicks. Now, maybe his skill set's a little bit redundant here, but he's a speedster. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's a little bit physical.
Right.
I think they're going to find a way to get Darius Anderson on the field.
I think the only question there is he a little raw
to
jump right into the starting fold, But that's why he's a sleeper. Maybe he has that potential. Maybe he'll come across as more polished than maybe we're expecting.
So, TCU offense, we're just kind of like, shrug.
A lot of potential there,
shrug
but we really don't have a lot of guarantees.
Now, let's swing over to the defense. And right now, you are handing Gary Patterson the keys to a defense with 7 starters back, with experience at the depth. You are handing him the keys to a fully loaded hot rod. Yeah. And it could be really, really, really good. Now, not everybody's back. They lose Davion Pearson and Mike Tuoua on the defensive front. They lose Derek Kindred, who I thought was spectacular.
Yeah, he was great.
And one of the few guys who stayed healthy for most of the year.
Which was vastly underrated considering what they went through.
Yeah, and I think he even missed a couple games. But that's how it goes, is that he was one of the few that stayed healthy for most of the year. But coming back, all your linebackers, including Ty Summers, who was so good in that game against Baylor and so good down the stretch, Denzel Johnson at the safety spot, Nick Orr at the cornerback spot, Josh Caraway along the defensive front, and that's just like the starters. I mean, then you go into that second string, and because they had to play, you've got this depth all throughout the 2 deep. If you're looking for a position battle, I think kind of similar to I'm trying to think of the example that we used earlier, like A&M's wide receivers.
Right.
It's just a matter of they're so loaded at wide receiver. Right. It's just a matter of how they're all going to fit together.
Right. Who's going to be the guy that shines?
The same thing goes for TCU at linebacker. Right. Like the linebackers that they had, the starters, the guys who were listed the starters in their last game, were Traven Howard and Montrell Wilson. Okay?
Yeah.
Do they hold on? Does Ty Summers take one of those spots? Does Alec Dunham take one of those spots? Do they move over maybe a guy like Rico Evans, who I think is big enough to play safety? Or I'm sorry, he's a safety, big enough to play linebacker. Do they put him in there? They've got a lot of different options. It's just a matter of who fits where and how they can get the best out of it.
Right.
And you know that the one thing about TCU that I think is odd is that the word starter for TCU's defense is almost meaningless.
Right.
It means you play the first play of the game. Because the way that Gary Patterson styles his defense is it is line changes. It is constant movement, constant subs, a lot of different guys coming in. You've got your bell cows. But in the end, in a perfect world designed by Gary Patterson, he would have 4 guys at each position who just all rotate through, and they're keeping fresh. And he knows that's how you've got to do to compete with these Big 12 offenses. So if you're looking for a sleeper defensively, they're all over the place, but probably the star of the recruiting class will be Siwo Oleanula, I think it is. I don't know. I'm sorry, Siwo.
I think it's Olanua. Alonalua.
Alonalua. Alonalua. No, whatever. I'm sorry, Siwo. You're awesome, and you know that. He was, to me, the big steal for them in this recruiting class. And he's a guy who can play a lot of different positions. You can play him at a safety. If you need to put him at a corner, you could, although I think he's more suited more for like a nickelback type spot. He can do it all. He's a versatile guy, and he's the kind of guy that Gary Patterson tends to turn into a star because he's not just a one-trick pony.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we end all these with the same question, which is TCU better or worse, right? And
well, we skipped over what to watch for, technically.
Well, I mean, technically we did, but the problem is the
spring game's over.
Spring game's over.
Okay.
So
all right, we'll jump ahead.
So no. Let's do what to watch for. What you're watching for is who the heck actually steps up offensively.
Yeah.
Because whereas last year you knew exactly who was going to be the guys on this TCU offense, now we have literally no idea.
Yeah.
We think Cavante Turpin's going to be pretty good. That's basically the list from the skill position spots.
Yeah.
They've got other guys who can maybe step up and be guys. Desmond White's a guy that I love.
Right. And Nixon has plenty of experience.
Yes, yeah. Jerison Stewart, Juwan Stewart's actually gone. Never mind.
Yeah.
Jalen Austin. They've got weapons. Running backs: Trey Johnson, Kyle Hicks, Sean Nixon. They've got plenty of options.
Yeah.
Gary Patterson's looking around and be like, all right, we got a lot of guys. Who's going to be the guy?
Right, exactly.
And that's what I would be watching for if we could go back in the past and do it. So who can actually step up to the plate and be a playmaker for this offense? And so now, Max.
There we go.
We move forward to the big question. And it is April 5th. So these are non-binding.
Non-binding.
A lot of things can change. But the question is, TCU better or worse in 2016?
Let's see. I'm going to say worse.
Okay.
But not by much.
I think that the only reason I would lean towards worse would be because...
Question marks. There's question marks everywhere.
There's question marks everywhere, yes. Also, 11 wins is an awful high bar to measure somebody at.
That's true, too.
Let's put it this way. If they go 10-3, they're technically worse.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe 1 or 2 games off pace from last year.
I think that the defense is going to be a lot better.
The defense is going to
be
a lot
offense is going to take a step back. I don't think there's any question the offense is going to take a step back.
The defense is going to be a lot better, but the issue is this is an offensive conference, right? People are going to put up points. I don't care how good your defense is. Teams are going to put up. TCU could be the best defense in the conference and still give up like 25 points a game. And if they don't score that many per game, and I'm not sure they will because we just don't have enough knowns here, then it's not going to. They're going to drop a couple more games.
The offensive line really scares me. You're replacing 4 offensive linemen, not to mention a quarterback, not to mention your number 1 wide receiver, not to mention your number 1 running back. There's just a ton of question marks that I have a hard. There's too many question marks for me to say, oh yeah, they're going to be better.
Yeah.
And especially with that high bar, I think that the smart money is on them being worse. Yeah. But that doesn't mean they're going to fall off the face of the earth. I don't think that. Well, I think be terrible.
The difference in expectation for the beginning of this season versus the last one, right? The last one comes in, they're high geared up. You're like, okay, Boykin's going to lead. Boykin and Doxson are going to lead them. They'll come out of the gate charging hard, right? Mm-hmm. This is one where you look and you go, wow, they might drop a couple early on because they just haven't quite figured it all out yet.
Yep.
Maybe finish stronger. I could totally see them finishing stronger than any team in Texas based on what we've seen from them.
Yeah, because if the offense really gets in gear.
Yeah, you wonder how quickly it's all going to click.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think that if the bar is national title contender, they're going to be worse than that.
Right.
But I still think they're a top-tier team in this conference and have a puncher's chance to win the conference if things break right, if the offense finds its
And
groove.
the flip side is this program is at a point now, would you be surprised if they won the Big 12?
No, not at all.
Right?
Not at all. So that's where we're at on TCU. That's going to do it for us. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Tomorrow, we are talking Texas State and UTSA. How about that?
Woo!
Bobcats and Roadrunners fans, get fired up. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. And we will see you tomorrow on DCTF Live.